Well, how things going as the coach at USC?
It's been a great transition where, as the assistant, you get a subset of categories that you're responsible for, but at the end of the day, there's always that responsibility that goes to the head coach. And then shifting into a head coach, especially at an institution like USC, you just never knew the sheer amount of volume of things that were your responsibility or the head coach's responsibility. And maybe it's just a blinders, maybe it was whatever you want to have it. It's just you just can't experience it until you're experiencing it. I liken it to being a parent where my wife and I made a decision of we want to have kids. And I knew I was 100% in. I knew I wanted to do it. We were ready for it, prepared the best we can. And yet, until you have a kid, you have no idea what goes into it. So it's been a wonderful exploration and discovery process where some days I just feel overwhelmed. Some days I feel like I'm on top of things. But, the good news is we have that great slogan, fight on. So on a day-to-day basis, there's always something in the back of my head that says, okay, we're fine. We're doing good.
And you haven't played yet.
I haven't played yet.
So you're still undefeated.
Still undefeated. Haven't lost a point. But the fact of the matter is, until there's a final tally and the final score and the final record, you never know how good you are. That's the way they keep score, right?
You have good frames of reference. You played for Al Skates. I'm sure you spoke to Al. You and Fergie are good friends, and somebody else you had as reference. Among them and others. What have you drawn from to prepare for this?
Well, I mean, if you want to go down the list, I've, as a player, had contact with. If you really want to go down the list, I played for Carl McGowan, Marv Dunphy, Ruben Nieves, Fred Sturm, Doug Beal. I mean, we can go on. And then there's the coaches that I played for internationally. So there's every single coach, every single teacher imprints you with something, teaches you something. Now, it could be the worst coach on the planet, and they're teaching you patience. It could be the best coach on the planet, and it's the infinitesimal details. So everyone imprinted me with something. So coming into this, Bill ran a system here, and he got the team back to national eminence. They became a part of the conversation again, to where they were a long ways away and far off the trail for a while. So, excuse me.
Sorry.
We can edit that out.
Of course.
Yeah. So getting back to Bill, he got this program back to where it needed to be, where they were in the hunt again. Not only that, but our team now has a cumulative GPA of 3.15, which for 20 guys, we are the highest GPA on campus for men's sports. So the culture that exists here is one where we want to be a great volleyball team and we want to be great student athletes. And that goes a long way, because in our sport, if you want to be a professional, you could hit it right and be that 1% that makes a lot of good money and goes overseas and plays professionally. But by and large, 95% of the guys that come through here to play volleyball, once they're done with their eligibility, they're done playing volleyball. So you have to hit the ground running. So if you're dedicating your time and your energies to being good at volleyball and good at student activities, academics, then you're doing all right. You're doing it the right way.
Right. What's your recruiting pitch?
My recruiting pitch? Well, to start, it's not so much a recruiting pitch as it is an expansion of the net, because it's been a pipeline of SCVC guys, smattering of players from around Southern California and Hawaii. And yeah, we have some guys from the Midwest, but in talking to some of the coaches in the Midwest, it's they just don't even think of SC as a viable possibility. So Loyola winning 2 national titles back to back, Lewis being a powerhouse, Penn State consistently being in the Final Four, and now Conference of the Carolina. There's recruiting networks and there's demographics that need to be explored, need to be tapped into, and SC is a national, international brand. So we had to cast a much wider net than we've had in the past.
Well, you being a Wisconsin guy, and the exponential growth of boys volleyball in the upper Midwest, in the upstate New York, in the Northeast, and in the Midwest, that's obviously, like I said, something you got to tap into.
That was a smooth transition.
And it was. And on top of that, when you look at that, Lewis and Loyola both had a California kid who really, really mattered, but we're mostly Midwestern people, and then it's got to start working both ways, probably.
Well, I don't want to say the pendulum swung. I'm not ready to wholesale say that the Midwestern volleyball is the powerhouse conference. You know, but the fact of the matter is, at the end of the day, at the end of the season, there's only one team on top, and it's not from the MPSF right now. So the pendulum's moving, and people out here are recognizing that. So there's an untapped resource of great volleyball, and you know, there's the Rick Butlers, there's the all kinds of different clubs in the Midwest, Virginia, Ohio, Illinois. You go up to Toronto, Canada. I mean, there's some untapped places out there that, with a brand like USC, you need to be able to get in there and have a conversation with some of those club directors and say, who do you got that might be able to make it over the transition to USC, and then show the interest. Be able to go and recruit in those places. Step into the gym sometimes so they see what USC actually is serious about looking. So we've got some momentum in that regard right now. Gary's Gary. Gary Sato, he's known worldwide. Grow the game. He walks into any gym, and this is the fact. We went into Columbus together, and there was a little bit of touch and go with him being hired, so it was official that he was USC. But towards the end, eventually we got it. Okay, you're done. Here's your stamp. You're ready to recruit. And I'd go and I say, well, what about that kid on that team from where? And he's like, oh, you know who that is? That's so-and-so. And I was there when his parents met. And then I was like, well, what about that kid? He's like, oh, yeah, I played with his dad. And what about that guy? I was like, oh, I was on this team. And he knows everybody. He's the unofficial mayor of volleyball. So he's got connectivity all over the place. Todd, he was up in NorCal, Santa Cruz, but his outreach for his recruiting extended from Hawaii to New York. And so he's got some of the best, his best friends are club directors in other places of the nation. And as you said, I've got some Midwestern roots. So I feel that our net has connection. I feel that we can network as much as we need to get the SC brand back into those gyms that ordinarily were, let's just not say high on the radar.
All right. It's good stuff. Thanks for visiting.
That was my pleasure.